It's a question a lot of folks have been asking for decades. Is there intelligent alien life? And if so, has the government been covering it up?
A bombshell claim about UFOs. A former U.S. intelligence official and Air Force veteran claims a top secret program is withholding evidence of alien spacecraft.
What if I told you aliens are not only real, but they're already here, and the government knows all about it? Sounds wild, right? Yet that's exactly what Stephen Greer, a retired physician turned ufologist, has claimed for decades.
Specifically, technologies connected to UFO and extraterrestrial vehicles, if declassified and used for peaceful energy generation and propulsion. Their word was trusted on everything of great importance for the national security. We must trust their word now.
Greer says he's got hundreds of whistleblowers backing him up, alleging massive government cover-ups. Now Greer claims we're on the verge of something big. Undeniable evidence that aliens aren't just visiting, they're here, and more are coming. But who is Stephen Greer really, and can we trust what he's saying? Who is Stephen Greer, the man behind the mission? Stephen Greer isn't your average UFO guy. He's a retired doctor turned alien hunter with a story that hooks you right from the start. Born in 1955 in Charlotte, North Carolina, Greer grew up a regular kid until something wild happened at age 8. He says he saw a glowing object hovering in the sky, too close, too real, to brush off as a plane or a star. That moment stuck with him, and then at 18, it happened again. Another sighting, this time leaving him convinced we're not alone. Those experiences weren't just kid dreams, they lit a fire that'd drive him for decades. Fast forward through college, Greer snagged a biology degree from Appalachian State and an MD from East Tennessee State. By the late 80s, he was an emergency room physician, stitching up patients and saving lives, but the UFO bug never left him. In 1990, he founded the Center for the Study of Extraterrestrial Intelligence, or CSETI, with a bold mission, not just to spot aliens, but to talk to them. Then, in 1993, he kicked off the Disclosure Project, pushing the idea that the government's hiding UFO secrets and it's time to let them out. By 1998, he ditched medicine entirely to chase this full-time. That's not a small pivot. Imagine walking away from a steady paycheck to chase lights in the sky. What makes Greer stand out isn't just his resume, it's his knack for rallying people. He's not some lone conspiracy nut. He's got a network of insiders from pilots to military brass, all saying they've seen things they can't explain. His big claim? The U.S. has known about aliens since at least the 1940s, and they've got the wreckage and maybe even the bodies to prove it. But why should you care about this one guy's obsession? Well, his next move turned heads worldwide, and it's where the real story kicks off. So how does a doctor go from patching people up to shaking up the world with alien talk? Let's zoom into the moment he brought hundreds of voices together to back his wild claims and see what they had to say. The Disclosure Project, Whistleblowers Speak Out. Picture this, May 9th, 2001, at the National Press Club in Washington, D.C. Stephen Greer steps up to a podium, flanked by over 20 insiders. Think military officers, air traffic controllers, even an astronaut. This wasn't some backroom chat. It was a full-on press conference, broadcast to over 1 billion people through media outlets. Greer's Disclosure Project had been years in the making, and here he was dropping a bombshell. He'd gathered testimony from over 700 whistleblowers who swore the government was sitting on UFO evidence. Not just sightings, crashed ships, alien tech, the works. These weren't random folks off the street. You had Brigadier General Stephen Lovekin talking about seeing classified UFO files in the 50s. Gordon Cooper, a legit Mercury astronaut, claimed he'd filmed a UFO landing in 1951, only for the footage to vanish into government hands. Another guy, a radar operator, said he tracked objects moving at speeds no human craft could touch, thousands of miles an hour, zigzagging like nothing we've built. Greer's pitch was simple. These people risked their careers, even their freedom to speak out, because the truth matters. He wanted amnesty for them, no jail time for breaking their oaths, so more could come forward. The stories piled up fast. One insider said he worked on a base where a saucer-shaped craft was stored, metallic, seamless, not a rivet in sight. Another claimed he saw documents about Roswell, that infamous 1947 crash, proving it wasn't a weather balloon but something extraterrestrial. Greer tied it all together with a big accusation. Since the 40s, a secret group's been hoarding this stuff, keeping it from presidents and the public alike. He said they've got bodies too, little gray guys maybe pulled from wreckage. Did it land? Well, it got attention, tons of it. The event's still one of the biggest UFO gatherings ever, and Greer's kept the momentum going, collecting more testimonies over the years. But here's the kicker. No hard proof hit the table that day. No photos, no metal scraps, just words. For some, that's enough. For others, it's a tease without the payoff. Either way, Greer turned a doctor's curiosity into a global megaphone, and he wasn't stopping there. All those voices got people talking. But what about something you could actually see, like a tiny alien skeleton? Let's dig into one of Greer's boldest claims and why it didn't quite stick the landing. The Atacama skeleton, alien or hoax? In 2013, Greer's documentary Sirius hit screens, and it brought something freaky into the spotlight. A 6-inch skeleton found in Chile's Atacama Desert. Picture this little thing. Big head, slanted eye sockets, 10 ribs instead of 12. Greer didn't mess around. He called it possible evidence of an alien visitor, dug up from the dust and ready to rewrite history. The film leaned hard into it, showing X-rays and DNA tests, hinting this wasn't human. For a minute, it felt like he'd struck gold, something tangible to back his decades of talk. The skeleton came from a guy named Oscar Munoz, who found it in 2003 near an abandoned church. It was mummified, wrapped in cloth, and weirdly preserved. Greer's team got Stanford scientist Gary Nolan on board to analyze it, and early results were wild. DNA that didn't quite match typical human profiles, they said. Could this be it? The smoking gun UFO fans had been waiting for? Greer sure thought so, and Sirius played it up big, tying it to his bigger narrative of hidden alien visits. Then science stepped in and ruined the party. By 2018, deeper studies, published in legit journals, proved it was human. A fetus, actually, with genetic mutations causing dwarfism and bone issues. No extraterrestrial DNA, no cosmic traveler, just a sad earthly story. Greer's camp didn't back off entirely. They argued the initial findings still raised questions, but for most the jig was up. The Atacama skeleton went from alien poster child to a cautionary tale about jumping the gun. It stung Greer's rep, no doubt. Critics pounced. Here's this guy hyping a discovery that flopped. Yet it didn't kill his momentum. He'd already moved on, chasing bigger fish. Still, it's a moment that makes you wonder, how much of this is hope outweighing the facts? That skeleton didn't pan out, but Greer's got more up his sleeve, like tech he says we stole from the stars. Let's unpack what he claims we've built from alien blueprints. Reverse-engineered tech, secrets of alien craft. Ever wonder what we'd do if we nabbed an alien spaceship? Stephen Greer says we already have, and we've cracked it open like a cosmic piñata. In his 2017 doc Unacknowledged, he dives deep into this idea. Since the 40s, the U.S. has been reverse-engineering UFOs, pulling out tech that'd make sci-fi writers jealous. We're talking propulsion systems that laugh at gravity, energy generators that could ditch oil overnight. Greer's not shy about it. He claims this stuff's been locked away in secret labs, built from wreckage like Roswell's. Here's the gist. He says after that 1947 crash, yeah, the one with the weather balloon excuse, engineers got to work. Whistleblowers from his disclosure project back this up. One guy, a Lockheed Martin insider, claimed he saw materials that bent physics, metals that morphed under heat, engines with no moving parts. Another said he worked on a craft powered by something called zero-point energy, tapping the universe's background hum for infinite juice. Greer's big sell? This isn't just cool, it's world-changing. Free energy could end wars over oil, but he says big oil and the military-industrial complex buried it. The details get wilder. He points to places like Area 51, not as a meme, but as a real hub for this stuff. In Unacknowledged, insiders describe underground bunkers or DUMBs, deep underground military bases, where this tech's tested. One witness said he saw a disc hover silently, then shoot off faster than any jet. Greer ties it to UFO sightings worldwide, those lights zipping across the sky. Some might be ours, built from alien blueprints. He even warns of a twist. Fake alien invasions using these crafts to scare us into submission. Paranoid? Maybe, but it's a heck of a plot. No one's rolled out a flying saucer for proof, though. Skeptics say if we had this tech, we'd see it. Better planes, cleaner power. Greer counters it's too valuable, too dangerous to let loose. He's hinted at patents, suppressed by secrecy orders, but nothing's hit the public. Still, the idea sticks with you. What if we've been sitting on a galactic cheat code for decades? It's the kind of thing that keeps you up at night wondering who's really running the show. So we might have borrowed some alien tricks, but what if we could just call them down ourselves? Let's explore how Greer thinks we can roll out the welcome mat for ET. CE5, calling aliens to Earth. Stephen Greer's not just about digging up secrets, he wants us to meet the neighbors. Enter CE5, or Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. It's his protocol for humans to reach out to aliens, not wait for them to buzz us. Think of it like cosmic FaceTime. You meditate, focus your mind, maybe flash some lights, and bam, UFOs show up. Sound nuts? Greer's been doing it since the 90s with CSETI, claiming thousands of successes. He says it proves aliens are already here, watching, waiting for us to say hi. How's it work? Greer's groups head to remote spots, deserts, mountains, armed with lasers and a vibe he calls coherent thought. They sit in circles, clear their heads, and project peaceful intent. He's logged over 3,000 pilot sightings and 4,000 landing traces from these sessions per CCDI records. In his 2020 film Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, he shows videos. Lights dancing in the sky, sometimes swooping low after a call. One clip from a 2024 retreat has a glowing orb pulsing, eerie, but real enough to make you squint and wonder. Greer's take is bold. Aliens aren't hostile, they're curious. He says they've been monitoring us since we split the atom. Nukes got their attention. CE5, he argues, flips the script from passive sightings to active chats. Participants swear by it. A Navy vet from a 2023 session said a craft hovered silently for 10 minutes, like it knew they were there. Greer's even got apps now, guiding newbies through the steps. It's DIY alien contact, and he's selling it hard. Does it hold up? Hard to say. No labs verified those lights aren't planes or drones. Critics call it wishful thinking or a cash grab with Greer charging for retreats. But the sheer volume of stories keeps it alive. If he's right, it's not just about proof, it's about aliens being here, right now, ready to connect if we just ask. Calling aliens sounds wild, but what's Greer saying about them showing up uninvited? Let's jump into his latest 2025 claims and why they're lighting up the UFO world. 2025 claims, the latest bombshell leaks. Fast forward to 2025, and Stephen Greer's back with a bang. In January, he dropped a podcast bombshell. Whistleblowers were about to blow the lid off alien contact. Videos, artifacts, the real deal within 72 hours. Spoiler, it's March 13th now and we're still waiting, but Greer's not backing down. He's doubled down on X, saying evidence of UFOs and living aliens in secret bases is coming any week now. The title of this video, They Are Coming, nails his vibe. He's hinting at something big, imminent, maybe even an arrival we can't ignore. What's he leaking this time? In a February statement on his site, he claimed insiders are prepping to liberate deep underground military bases, those DUMBs again, where aliens are supposedly held. Think living ETs, not just bones, stashed since the 50s. He's teased footage too, crystal clear shots of crafts, not blurry blobs, from military sources. On March 1st, he told followers on X to brace for a disclosure event tied to recent sightings, like those weird lights over Ohio in late 2024 that pilots couldn't explain. He's framing it as the tipping point. Aliens aren't just visiting, they're here, and the truth's breaking free. Greer's tying it to bigger stakes too. In a March 10th post, he warned President Trump about a false flag UFO attack, man-made ships posing as aliens to spark panic. He says the real ETs are peaceful, but the cover-up crew's desperate to keep control. It's classic Greer, mix insider leaks with a dash of conspiracy. He's even hinted at names, specific generals, CEOs, who'll be exposed when the dam breaks. No dates this time, though. Learned his lesson after January's miss, maybe? The buzz is real. X posts from his followers show clips of odd sky objects tagged with his claims. But here's the rub. No hard evidence is dropped by today, March 13th, 2025. Is it delayed or hype? Greer's track record, big promises, spotty delivery, keeps the question alive. Still, if even half of this lands, it's game-changing. Are they really coming, or is this another cosmic cliffhanger? Greer's got us looking up, but who's keeping the lid on all this? Let's peel back the curtain on the shadowy players he says are pulling the strings. The shadow government. Who's hiding the truth? Stephen Greer's got a villain in his story, and it's not the aliens. It's what he calls the shadow government. This isn't your elected officials or even the Pentagon brass. He's talking about a secret club. Think high-level spooks, corporate bigwigs, and rogue military types operating above the law, even above the president. In his book Extraterrestrial Contact, he lays it out. Since the 40s, this group's been hoarding UFO evidence, running black projects, and keeping the world in the dark. Why? Power, money, and a grip on tech that could flip society upside down. Greer's got specifics. He says it started with Roswell, FBI and Army locked it down, then handed it off to this clique. By the 50s, they'd built a network, Area 51, S4, those DUMBS we keep hearing about. Whistleblowers from his 2001 event back it up. One ex-CIA guy claimed he briefed Eisenhower, only to learn the Prez was cut out of the loop. Another said this shadow crew answers to no one, funded by black budgets, trillions untracked. Greer's line? They've got alien ships, bodies, and tech, all stashed where Congress can't touch it. The motive's juicy too. He says fossil fuel giants and arms dealers lean on this secrecy. Free energy from UFOs would tank their empires. In Unacknowledged, he paints a picture. Sleek crafts and hangars, guarded by private mercenaries, while the public gets fed weather balloon lies. Ever notice how UFO leaks never stick? Greer says that's them. Squashing stories, intimidating witnesses. It's a conspiracy that'd make a thriller blush. No proof surfaced, no leaked memos, no base tours. But Greer's persistence keeps it compelling. If he's right, the real question isn't, are aliens here? It's who's really in charge. That's a heavy cover-up to swallow, but not everyone's buying Greer's tale. Let's flip the script and see why some folks think he's more showman than truth-teller. Controversy and critics, can we trust Greer? Stephen Greer's a lightning rod. Love him or hate him, he stirs the pot. But not everyone's on board. Take the Atacama skeleton flop. Scientists trashed it as a human fetus, not an alien, and critics pounced. They say it's Greer in a nutshell. Big claims, weak follow-through. The guy's got a knack for grabbing headlines, but where's the beef? No crashed saucer, no alien DNA, just stories. For a lot of folks, that's a red flag. Is he a visionary or just good at selling dreams? Skeptics dig deeper. Scientific types, like astronomers from SETI, say his whistleblower tales don't cut it without hard evidence. You can't test a memory, they argue. Show us a shard of that UFO metal. Then there's the cash angle. Greer's UFO retreats, apps, and films rake in dough. Some Reddit threads call him a grifter, pointing to $2,000 a pop CE5 trips. Fair? Maybe. He's got to fund this somehow. But it muddies the waters. Is he in it for truth or a paycheck? He's not sweating it, though. Greer shrugs off the hate, saying the truth's too big to silence. Still, the doubters keep you grounded. How much faith do you put in a guy who's 0 for 1 on skeletons?